What happened to our music? Hi everybody, we are live. I don't know where my music is. There it is. I don't know why my speaker wasn't showing up. Welcome to our live. We are 1111 True Crime. Mama D coming at you. And yeah, notification just went out. I'm sorry, I'm like 3 minutes late. I had to toilet the dogs. We've been painting all day. We did a beach scene, which, wow, I can't wait for it to dry. What's up, BMS? Deep dive today, you guys, into Idaho 4. What in the world? There is so much to talk about that I could literally talk on the Idaho 4 with the stuff that's come out in the last 3-4 days all week. So we will be doing a Jay Slater video that is part 3 of Behind the Green Door this week, as well as a lot of Idaho 4 videos, because we cannot possibly talk about all these items all in one video. I can't do a 5-hour live. I can't. That's what it would take to do it. So we're going to take each little part and try to understand and digest the new information. Welcome everybody to our live. If you are watching on replay, I want to say thank you so incredibly much. I greatly appreciate that. After this, we do have a video. It's Paradox. Okay, let me fix the little chat thing. Paradox Painting does have a video for us. That is our newest channel, which I'm not sure it's doing amazing, but there might be some changes and stuff. We're going to keep painting. And you guys, in the Idaho 4 case, information has come out from an expert from the defense that is going to opine, in his expert opinion, that not only was Kaylee killed with 2 different weapons, right? 2 weapons, but Xana and Ethan were simultaneously attacked at the same time. The defense is opining that this is absolutely 2 attackers. What are your thoughts? Now, I wanted to have a poll, but I really thought I did a poll. Let me go on to this real quick and see if I didn't do a poll. Maybe I forgot to do a poll. If I did forget to do a poll, we could do one. All right. 400 clicks later. No poll. All right, we're going to make a poll right now together before we get started here. And you know what? I'm not going to do a poll. No. Let's just talk. Let's just talk about it. I was going to type it all out and all that, but then you got to sit there and watch me type. Just do the poll at home yourself with us. It's basically yes or no answer. You either believe it does or you believe it doesn't. Does it help the defense, in your opinion, to suggest, prove that there are more than one attackers? Because I've heard a lot of guilters say that, you know, when Brian Inton, he went on the news, I have no idea how he would have possibly known what Brian would have said when Brian was arrested. But Brian made the comment, according to Brian Inton, was there anyone else arrested? So the question then becomes, 2 attackers, does that put Brian in the clear? Or where is the defense going? Do they have a way to suggest who the other 2 alternate suspects would be? Now, for me, 2 attackers, I think we're talking 4 attackers. It's just too strange. I've said it like from the very, very beginning when we learned of the 4 hoodie people running on the cop cam, right? So the little alcohol tickets were being given, and the cop's chest cam was recording off in the distance, and there's a neighboring light, and you can see the 4 silhouettes go by. It's exactly at 3:12 a.m. And then you take the 4chan in, you go back 19 minutes, and we're at that point of 2:51, 2:52, where not only now do we know that in the past we knew that 2:52 was Kaylee's last phone activity. Doesn't mean she was the one on the phone. But now we know that that would be the time that, that Maddie's phone called Bethany. Again, doesn't mean it was Maddie. Some people believe that that call from Maddie's phone at 2:53 a.m. to Bethany was a signal, actually, because Bethany never answers it, but she answers all the other calls throughout the whole night. But when it comes to the one important call, the last known time that Kaylee or Maddie are reaching out on Maddie's phone, Bethany does not answer, nor does she ever follow up on it with a text or anything that we're aware of that says, hey, what you want? How you doing? Nothing. So there's a bigger boom that is absolutely shocking. Thank you to Jules of True Crime. And she was reading over the docs, and I do watch Jules. I love her. I think she's wonderful at her job. And one thing that is in the document that she read through the court docs is that they didn't keep the mattresses. They didn't forensically test the mattresses that were belonged to the victims. I'm going to tell you again. The documents, the court documents, are stating that the forensic team did not forensically investigate the mattresses of either Ethan and Xana, nor Kaylee, nor Maddie's. Not even Maddie's. Just let that sit out there for a minute and think about that. Why? So the only time I have known in any case that they purposely do not collect evidence from something such as the item that the person's laying on and so forth is if they aren't laying on it. Now, we also have found out that Dylan full-blown saw Xana early into this, in the middle of the time frame that this all was supposedly going on, already laying on the floor. Yet she heard somebody crying in the bathroom. What? If Xana is laying in the middle of her bedroom floor with her feet towards the door and her head towards the window, which is exactly what I suggested her body would be laying like if that window had been used by the perpetrators to come into, and she would be closer to the window, she would be on the floor, and that's exactly what they're telling in the document. And Dylan, did nothing. She didn't go check to see if Xana had died from an OD. She didn't check if Xana was breathing. I don't buy that. And we've all asked, what about the red stuff all over the place? You didn't see that either? I call BS, baloney. And is that where we get the latent shoe print by the door or in Dylan's doorway? Did she actually go in there where Xana was taken out and Ethan, get blood on her shoes, on her shoe, if you will, and end up with it in her own door frame, and then panic, thinking she's going to get blamed for the red rum, clean it up? I mean, It's very possible that that's where the shoe print size 10 bands comes from. Now, if Dylan was the attacker herself, or she was full out for this, thing and supporting this entire event to take out all her roommates except for Bethany, why didn't she finger Kohberger is the question. So, let's get into what your feelings and thoughts are. Let me reset my chat. I'm having difficulty with YouTube. On my phone, it'll show like nobody here. When I reset it, it'll be like 230. So I have to reset it once in a while. BMS says, is Dylan friends with Emily Bailey? Yes, she is. She might be the DoorDash driver that is friends with BK. Now, we don't really have proof that Emma and BK are friends. So that's a stretch until somebody can prove otherwise. Yes, please refrain from using all caps. I actually have dyslexia, and when it's all one size, I can't read it, so then I have to avoid that. I'll do it when pigs fly. I like your name. You said, still over here wondering how baloney is pronounced. Baloney. Oh, that's too funny. Yeah. So these are some of the things that just have me mystified. Absolutely. And yes, I did watch the drunk show with Steve Gonzalez on it, and I was literally screaming at my TV, pounding my fist on the coffee table going, are you insane? You are lying. OMG, the crap that came out of his mouth. And I'm like, okay, for one, yes, I get you've lost your daughter, but what is your incentive to make up things instead of sticking to the facts? If you knew they had such a good, solid case, then why are you, Steve, out here petitioning the public with lies that put nails in BK's coffin? I mean, don't you ever question the fact that there's DNA that is unknown in this case? Blood in a glove? Don't you want to know who that is? Because what if that was the real killer? What if the blood in the glove is because the killer may have grabbed a hold of a knife that one of the girls had defending themselves? But the fact that you don't have suspicion and questions about that, but rather put lies out here, such as that Ramsland, the previous teacher of Brian from the other school in Pennsylvania, that wrote the book with the serial killer, BTK, right? Steve Gonzalez is alleging that BTK got all the half the proceeds and all this when it actually went to the victims' families. I mean, why do you need to lie? There's so much in his interview. We'll go over that in a separate. I don't trust him at all, and I want to know his agenda. I've begun to wonder if it's possible, because he still has young ones that need to go to college, if somehow their college all got paid for, right? Their tuition all got paid for in some way. Is that possible? Could that be the incentive to go along with the narrative? Because there's something for him to get out here and just literally make shit up and call people idiots that don't believe the way he does. It's crazy. It's just crazy. Hey, Stuart Jones. Hello. You say, I think someone was hiding in the house and it was planned for Dylan. Trapped the girls upstairs. I've said this for a long time. Now, a lot of you did not care for my video where I said that Maddie was the first victim because she had, in my opinion, she was the first victim because she had no defensive wounds. A lot of you felt that Maddie was not first. But we're now hearing of the possibility of Xana being in the kitchen, and Kaylee may have come running down the stairs saying, there's someone in here, and then all hell breaking loose upstairs. So if they don't take the mattresses, that's just insane to me. However, could it be that none of these victims were killed in their bed at all? Some of you believe they weren't even killed in this house, and that's why there's no red rum all over. It would be in the school's best interest if these individuals were found dead in the home, but there wasn't any BLOOD signs because they had been killed elsewhere. It would be in the school's best interest to make it appear as though that the kids were killed in the house, because that way it's an off-campus investigation. Otherwise, if they were killed anywhere else and it happens to be relative to the campus itself, then the school would be in a much different position. And not only did that school tear down that house when they were given the house by Dan Etsy, the former owner, not only did they tear the house down, they burnt it and they buried it and turned it into nothing, as if to say, you will never know the truth of what happened. That's what I take from it. Steve also talks about how the individual punched Kaylee in the face. We'd all heard that. And that she was massively attacked, right? Steve is dodgy to me too, Karen. I agree. Criminal mind holes. Well, I speak to BTK. I will let him know exactly what Gonzo said. Okay. Coroner Mabbitt said it was a bloody mess, so Scott Reed. Yeah, she said lots and lots of blood. Right, Christina 1111? They didn't even take the mattresses for DNA. So they hauled the mattresses off, which we could see had blood on them. What? To burn them? To get rid of the evidence? Why are they destroying evidence? Your phone's auto-typing for you, BMS. Hi, Joyful Dolphin. Good to see you. Karen Bell says, I believe Dylan involved my internet on phone playing yo-yo. Yeah. Hi, Meow. Good to see you. So, now we know, no question, that Dylan saw Xana on the floor and the door would have been open. Yet she claimed to have heard someone crying in the bathroom. I'm going to just say it. Is it possible that the person crying in the bathroom was actually Kaylee? Had she come running downstairs and been attacked on her way towards Xana's room? So let's just roll this out in her head. She's in her room playing with the dog, Kaylee. Somebody comes into the house and goes into Maddie's room, shuts the door, and begins an attack. All right. Kaylee would hear the screaming, because you would scream out of a dead sleep anyway. I mean, there would be all hell breaking loose in that room. Okay. So Kaylee comes running down the stairs, according to Dylan, with the dog. Running down. She probably thought about running back up and then thought, what am I going to do? Ran back down. Okay. Now, if Xana is doing something along the lines of in the kitchen with DoorDash, whatever, who knows? Doesn't even know why DoorDash came, maybe, right? I don't know. But anyway, at this point, the two of them take off running to Xana's bedroom. If there's multiple attackers, right, that would mean that the crap happens to maybe Kaylee on the way into Xana's room, because she's the last one coming down the stairs, Xana heading. The two girls are running in by Ethan, okay, to whatever. All right, so then is Kaylee taken out actually right there by the bathroom and not completely finished, if you get me? That could be the crying in the bathroom. Then the other two have finished, Ethan and Xana, and then Kaylee is thrown, placed in the bed upstairs, and then Maddie on top of her, and the entire damn thing is staged on the beds. Because the only time I've ever heard in other cases where the crime lab didn't take what we thought was the most valuable thing for DNA and evidence and so forth is when the item was not actually part of the initial crime and then had been used to stage. So they feel once something's been staged that the forensic telltale signs are gone because it didn't happen there. Remember, a hell of a battle went on down there. That's what Steve also said. Even though, take him with a pinch of salt, because he lies about so much, I feel like they both do. Karen Bell says they know male, so in my opinion, they know who it is, because if not tested, how do they know male? Steve said JD has DNA at the scene. You said has DNA taken. He also said JD has DNA at the scene. And I'm wondering if that's blood. Because if JD's blood is at that scene, what in the world? Hey, Jennifer Swain, good to see you, lovely. Hi, Rach. Hi, Ocean Deep, good to see you all again. Hi, Zozo. How are you? Hi, Debbie Gazzardo. Wait, I say hi to Debbie, but I haven't seen her yet. She may not have made it in today. Not sure. Hi, Claire. Hello. Need some Z's. I like that. Gonzo is full of BS. I agree. If we were to break down that call, which I think Jules of True Crime is going to do it, if she does, I'll let her. I won't go into as much detail as she is. I might just simply do a little reaction video to his interview, because it was super full of crap. I was like, oh my God, it made me so angry. Hi, Sandy, Colorado, from Colorado. SSS1, you made a live, good to see you. Hey, Patty Page, good. Nikki UK says, yes, of course, so many things overlooked that could be important into this case. The mattresses. What? Why would you not take the mattresses? OMG. I'm floored. And after Dylan saw Xana on the floor, they made videos, deleted stuff, altered things, modified things, videos. I used your timeline, Criminal Minds. Well, you're so welcome, but I just use my own timeline. I don't really watch other people, and so if we agree, that's wonderful. But I've never seen your name before. Marion Cross says, and Taylor said all the doors were open in one of the hearings. All the doors were open. Dylan and Bethany look more guilty than BK. Remember, DM got Kaylee back there for a reason and not the party. Woo! Tell it like it is, Marianne Croft. I love that. Thank you, darling. Adriana says, Mama D, do you think maybe Demetrius was the DoorDash driver? My theory is if it is, he probably brought the rugs and maybe the sheath. When Brian arrived in Moscow, he went to the pool party where D and E were. Ooh, that was a lot. I don't know, lovely, but I do find it more than curious that Dylan says the guy was white, and I don't know how I know he was white, but he was white. It almost implies the opposite to me. It almost would imply that the guy may not be white. Why would you say the guy was white? I don't know how I know he was white, but he was white. That's weird. Oh, no, thank you for the $49.99. Very, very kind of you. You said 70%. Love you, Mama D. Aw, thank you, sweetheart. That is so kind. Thank you. Design Rhythm says she saw her twice at minimum before calling 911, meaning Dylan saw Xana passed out. And OMG, Hunter wasn't the first one to see them then. No, nay, Dylan would have been. Hunter went in the kitchen, and what did he pick up? The one that I have been so sus of, because he showed up before the cops, before the ambulance, and was right there with the victim, so his DNA would be found and be excusable, right? But yet, he's coming from Sigma Chi. Isn't Hunter the one that walked him home? And he's got a knife he pulls from the... What does that mean? Mariana Cross says, in my opinion, Hitler is very unprofessional in his actions. Oh, I agree with you, Marianne. I totally agree with you. Noelle says, you have been here long time. Have you ever seen such a case? Thank you for the snooper chat, 1999. Noelle, thank you kindly. The only time I've ever seen a case like this was the Steve Avery case, where evidence was actually destroyed before, and the entire time I was like, he's not guilty. He's not guilty. Oh my God. There are so many other people that look more guilty. There's evidence being destroyed, mattresses, right? That could have the DNA of the killers on them aren't even considered important. We have a glove with blood in it at a quadruple homicide, and they're like, nah, we don't want to run the test. It's not like it's going to be useful. Why wouldn't they have run the test to find out if it was BK's blood in that glove? If they're so sure that they have the right guy, why not put the nail in his coffin and test that blood that's in the glove? Because in all theory, if BK is the one that did this, then it should be BK's blood, right? It should give the prosecution the smoking glove. But if you freaking know BK ain't the man, he ain't the one that did it, you ain't gonna be interested in testing no blood and no glove. And that's the crux of it. If you absolutely know BK did this because the evidence speaks for itself, and you are the prosecution, you're gonna show every bit of blood evidence there is in this case by testing it. Because you know it's going to come back to your suspect. Truth train blaring through and put your suspect behind bars for good. Wouldn't that have been so wonderful if you were the prosecution to come up to the jury and be like, not only does the glove fit, but his blood was on the inside of the glove. That sounds a lot more damning to me than anything else. But they cannot do that, because it's unknown male DNA that didn't, and they did test it, preliminary testing to get that it's male, and that it does not match BK. So they stopped their testing right there. Because that would make their claims that BK is the one that did this a lot harder to prove if we have a known other person blood in a glove. Because it would mean that you've wasted everybody's time and that the real killer is still on the loose and able to take action any 3 o'clock in the morning that any of these college students are sleeping again because they're still free. That's the worst part. Not only have we lost 4 beautiful human beings, and we have a guy sitting there on soon to be on trial, but we have a free killer or more killers that are still on the loose, laughing at this entire thing, going, ha ha, we got away with it. We can do it again in a different location. Robin Davis Ducksworth. Hunter did not walk them home. Ethan and Xana was not there before the other girls, according to recent info. The 4 girls went upstairs to chit-chat, and the other 2 weren't home, per BF grand jury info. All right. That could be that they all went up to chat in Kaylee's room. However, that does not mean that Hunter did not walk them home. That came straight out of the mouth of Ethan's mom, that was told by the individual that they walked Ethan and Xana home. So I will stay with that because I trust that information coming from Ethan's mom more than I do whatever the grand jury heard, because what the grand jury heard was a PCA piece of crap that now is null and void and don't matter, even though it was used to arrest BK. So I will never doubt that Hunter did walk Ethan and Xana home, even if the grand jury didn't hear that or believe that. And I also don't believe a word Dylan says. Most of everything she has said is absolutely ludicrous. She's the most uncredible witness I've ever heard in any case. I can't imagine putting her on the stand and letting the defense ask the questions. Fozzie dear, good to see you. Criminal Minds Hole says it's been going on since 1991 in Moscow, Idaho. It's the Old Boys Club. Sweetheart, it's the Old Boys Club has been going on not just in Idaho. The Steve Avery case, what did him in was the Old Boys Club. I'm just saying, we even have witnesses that'll tell you about the Old Boys Club coming to his bar in the Stephen Avery case years before Steve Avery and presenting all kinds of information. And he didn't want to join the club, even though he was a business member in town. And then his bar assistant was red rummed, and they said it was a heart attack, even though there was blood all over. And she died by gunshot. So I don't know. It just, there's always this Old Boys Club behind the scenes. And I think, honestly, it has to do with white supremacy with these old boy clubs. I really do. Right, Karen Bell. How can she tell when she only seen eyebrow? Yeah, one eyebrow. Think of Syed out on the field there getting the alcohol arrest information with the cops, and his big thick eyebrow running like a unibrow across his face. And then that's the only time I can think of eyebrow and not eyebrows, right? This is just crazy. Need some Z's. It's Idaho. It's Delphi. It's Canton, Massachusetts. It's, I'll add, it's well, that whole county, Manitowoc County in Wisconsin. It's all over. It's all over. Right Right, Robin. No, the PC and the grand jury info don't match. Yes, according to Hippler, and I do not believe any of them. I love you, Robin. No, they never confirmed. BMS is asking if they ever confirmed if it was Maddie's jacket found. Now, if you go over to where that alcohol arrest with the, not arrest, but tickets were given, and there's the fire hydrant right there that the cop is literally giving those tickets to. At that moment in time, if you look on the ground, not on the fire hydrant, but on the ground, it appears to me to be the corner of, right up in the edge of it, the beginning of the jacket, as if it's laying on the ground at that point. Later, when the investigators are over there looking, the coat is actually hanging on the fire hydrant, which is right by Sigma Chi. And it looks just like Maddie's jacket to me. It's crazy. Christina1111 says, in your opinion, bushy eyebrows describe an older male like 35 or plus. That's interesting. That's very interesting. Right, Ocean Deep, considering DM draws eyes with bushy eyebrows. Hola, Reno. Welcome to you. Welcome. Thanks for tuning in. All right, you guys, we have so much more to go on this case. Tomorrow, I will be on here for the Jay Slater case, and this is going to be part 3 of Behind the Green Door. If you know, you know, right? And this is going to be Ophelia Lies. All right? All right, my beautifuls. With that being said, I'm going to jump off here. We have 2 more things to do today. One, if you happen to be a starlight or join us, we're going to be doing TC Radio today. And we're finishing up our houseboat and listening to True Crime Radio while you guys get to chat. And then, well, actually, before that even happens, which that I believe is at 3:30 Central Daylight Time, we're about to jump over right now to the love of my life, which is painting. And I have a very special painting to share with you today that is called A Breath Away. And I've never seen anything like this painting done before. And I am blown away by the way it turned out. I can't wait to share it with you. So if you are into asthma or chilling out, relaxing, I take this nice and slow, and I use my voice in a way that I feel is relaxing, and I've heard a lot of good compliments that people are falling asleep. Though today's video is very short. It's only about 10 or 15 minutes. But I can't wait to show you the painting. That channel is like blowing up. I hope you'll join us over there, and I love you so incredibly much. Let's get our music up and rolling so that we can get out of here. And yeah, we have to dig much deeper into this, where all this new info on Dylan and on Bethany. Oh my God, and they didn't even take the mattresses. What? What? Can they be fined for being shitty investigators? Can they be held accountable for doing such a crappy job as investigators? What, did they, just like the bloody glove in the back, did they know that there would be evidence that didn't point to the one they wanted? Even if they didn't know, hold on, stop the music. Even if at that point they didn't know BK, it seems to me that they knew they didn't want it to come back to the real individuals. Like, that's why they didn't take the mattresses, and that's why they didn't test the glove or the blood on the railing. Yeah, that's my thoughts. My opinion. I love you guys. Hey, Nikki UK, take care, lovely. Prime Candy, Fossy Dare, Miss Tree, good to see you. BMS, Zoe, Reno, Karen Bell, good to see you all. Janet Snyder, good to see you. Reno Dockery, Debbie Gazzardo, I love you, lovely. Petty Page, Frat Row, good to see you. All right, my lovelies, here we go. Love you to the moon and